My name is Richard Ferrer, and I can say I am cloud hired.
That yes, come and join and get cloud hired. I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
Hey, Go Cloud Architect family. I'm cloud hired.
So I'm cloud hired, guys.
So I'll just say I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired thanks to Go Cloud Architects.
It worked for me, and now I'm cloud hired. Because of Google Architect program, I am cloud hired. See!
I am cloud hired. Thank you, Mike and the Glowcloud team.
Welcome, everyone. This is Mike Gibbs, and like every Wednesday, we're here to answer your questions on becoming a cloud architect, or how to become an enterprise architect, or how to become a security architect. We'll answer your questions about what does a cloud architect do versus what does an enterprise architect do versus what does a security architect do. And we'll give you any kind of tips that we can to assist you in building your cloud architect, enterprise architect, security architect, or AI architecture career, because that's all we do. In fact, I've been an IT architect now for over 25 years. I was an internal Anderson prior to that. And after that, I've been a network architect, security architect, cloud architect, enterprise architect. And I've now trained people that are working at Apple, Amazon, Cisco, Google, IBM, Microsoft, Accenture, Deloitte, KPMG, Capgemini, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Barclays Bank, JP Morgan Chase Bank, PNC Bank, places like Palo Alto Networks and Zscaler and Netbook. So trained a lot of people all over the last 20 years and love to answer your questions. So bring me your career questions and we will do what we can to assist you in your career. Before we do that, I want to tell everybody that tomorrow we have our completely free How to Become a Cloud Architect webinar. And we'll go over what we do as cloud architects. We'll talk about the actual skills as cloud architects that you need as a cloud architect. And we'll talk about everything you need to do to get hired. Because you can see our cloud architects working everywhere. And we've had to retrain nearly everyone that's come to us that's taken a course that was more about cloud engineering, for example, than cloud architecture when they desired a cloud architect job. So we'll talk about what the role is and every skill you need. It's completely free. It'll be live on Zoom. So you can answer any questions you have about what we're discussing, and it's there and it's free. I'll also tell you that in the description of this video, we have a lot of free resources for you as well. Guides on how to become a cloud architect or how to become an enterprise architect or how to become an AI architect, for example. We'll have guides on how to pass the cloud architect interview, for example, and so many things to assist you in your career, and they're all completely free. So go get them. And because it's our 4-year anniversary of creating cloud champions, people that are working at cloud architects everywhere, we're running a very short-term 60% off sale on every product that we offer, and we don't do that very often. So take advantage of it while you can. And then, come in and bring me your questions so I can do anything I can to assist you in your career. And Chris, bring me the questions as they arise. Tin Man 120. What certifications would you recommend for someone aspiring to be hired as a cloud architect? So Tin Man 120, I'm going to talk you what I talk about, which is certifications plus skills. And I'm going to tell you why that is. Certifications can be extremely valuable to you when used correctly. Certifications are all about building your brand. The better your brand is, the easier of a time you're going to have interviews. And this is great. Now, the only challenge that I can tell you is when it comes to actual cloud architecture certifications, there almost aren't any. The only thing that really looks like a real architecture certification out there right now is the Cisco Certified Design Expert. And let me tell you why that's a real architecture exam. And then I'm going to tell you what you should do instead. For example, for the Cisco Certified Design Expert, which is an architecture exam, the candidate will come to Cisco. They'll be given a scenario, an organization that has various business problems and various technical challenges. They'll be asked to create an architecture to go solve that kind of a problem. They'll have to present that architecture back to the people at Cisco, who will interrogate them on various components of the architecture. They will then have to defend their architectural choices and the trade-offs they made as part of their architectural decisions. And if they're one of the few people that passes, then you get a Cisco Certified Design Expert. And why is that a real architecture certification? Well, it's certifying you on a lot of what we do. Obtaining the actual requirements, thinking about creative solutions to solve those problems, and then presenting it back to the customer and getting the customer's buy-in and the customer's approval. Because that's what we do as architects. So I'm not going to say that everybody should go out there and spend $30,000 in preparation for Cisco Certified Design Expert, but that's the only actual pure architectural certification that's actually out there. Now, I'm going to now tell you which certifications that I do recommend and why, but I have to separate certification knowledge from job hired knowledge, because in this case, they're very different. Not with the CCDE, it's the same job, but typically when I train an architect, specifically a cloud architect, I typically go for 3 certifications. And I teach all these certifications to every cloud architect that I teach. And I'll tell you, those certification pieces that I'm describing might be 45 or 50 out of 1,000 hours of the training that the architect actually needs. So keep that in the back of your mind too. The certifications I choose are either the AWS Solutions Architect Professional or the Azure Solutions Architect Expert. These are great certifications to learn the names of the vendor's product. And that's all they really are. They are admin certifications, which is the name of the service and how to configure that service. And architects don't do any of that. So what these certifications are for us is it teaches us the marketing names that the cloud providers call their things. So when a cloud architect knows they need 5,000 virtual machines of a certain size core and a certain size DRAM, they know which AWS EC2 instances, which are virtual machines, to choose. If they know they need object storage in the data center and they migrate to the cloud and they want the same object storage, they now know to choose S3, for example, which is just object storage. So it's teaching people that it's teaching people the name of something and how to configure that, with architects don't do. Architects plan migrations, architects create strategies. So we want one of those cloud provider solutions architect professional certifications. It won't teach you architecture, but it will get you interviews, and that's all it's going to do. Now, the next architecture certification I like is TOGAF 10. And the reason I teach all my students TOGAF 10 is it's an architectural framework or a way to do things that says always start with the organization's executives, for example, and find what's going to be in scope for the architecture, what they're trying to change in the business, the organization's vision and business. And then it says, hey, wait, before you think about touching the text, then learn how the business architectures, learn what makes that organization have competitive advantages, learn the way the organization does things. So you can now design the technology strategy in a way that optimizes that client's goals. Because Tin Man, in most cases, people that are designing the tech have no idea where the business is going, and they're designing technology that in many cases hurts the business. And I can tell you what, it's so bad that 70% to 80% of the time when the tech people try to design a technology strategy for a business, it's wrong. And that's why 70 to 80% of organizations receive no business benefit from their technology. The organizations that do are the ones that have highly strategic architects that are working with the C-suite, that are working with the vision of the organization, that are working and aligning people, processes, and technology to them. So TOGAF won't teach you how to do any of those things, but it's a framework for success that says start here, then go here, then go here, then go here, then go here. And because it's a certification on an architectural framework that many global organizations use, that's pretty valued in the industry. So note, neither one of these teaches you architecture. I'm going to make that very clear with you. That's why I say you have to learn architecture and then you have to get certified. Now, the third certification I use, and this is my absolute favorite of the bunch, it's the CISSP. And I use the CISSP as my intro to security when I train people. And I'll tell you why. Very few people out there actually pass the CISSP. It's not that hard of an exam, but it's not like your average $10 course is going to teach you a CISSP certification. You're going to need a $4,000 or $5,000 boot camp for the most part to pass the CISSP. And I don't want to call it a boot camp. I mean, I'm talking about going to a real organization that is a professional training organization that's going to teach you all the elements of that. I did. I took a $5,000 CISSP training thing. It was 40 hours 1 week. I took it with many of my peers and we all did great. But, typically speaking, the CISSP is something that most people don't pass. And because there's often a barrier to entry and, because it's expensive to prepare for that exam, most people don't have it. So this does two things. One is it's probably the best certification in security. It almost has as much recognition as the CCIE, but it's not that hard to pass by comparison. So I train my people in all those. And by giving all my people that, and then I teach them architecture on top of that, that's really the secret. So the key is they're my three favorite certifications. And they are big, bold industry certifications. And then you still need to learn the other skills. For a cloud architect, which would mean things like giving presentations, responding to RFIs, RFPs, RFQs, leading and facilitating meetings, giving speeches at conferences, for example, doing executive briefings or any of the things architects do, leading proof of concepts, for example, or creation of technology roadmaps or strategies, those kinds of things. So, these are what we actually do as architects. So you have to make sure you get the skills. So Tin Man, join me on the free webinar tomorrow. And we'll actually talk about what all those skills are that you actually need. So it's not just the certifications, it's the certifications plus skills. If you got some questions, please bring them in. Don't be shy. That's the whole reason we're here. Dingleman, hi, Mike. You're nearly prepared for your CISSP. Wonderful, and you'll take it within weeks. What should your strategy be on LinkedIn and resume once you've done that? So, Dingleman, I think you'll be done the CISSP in a few weeks, but I still think you need 3 or 4 more months of actual training before you actually go out there. I think well, you're already getting interviews. I think if all you did was just put the CISSP on your LinkedIn profile, you'll be bombarded with interviews. But I want you to win that interview. And I want you to really wow them on the interview. And when it comes down to it, if you just get by in an interview, here's your offer, like $130,000 or $140,000. If you wow them on the interview, you could be at a $250,000 salary with that or more. So I really want you to be ready for it so that it's not like, let's take a chance on this person. It's, I need this person, because it's a very different salary situation. But what my strategy for you would be to get the CISSP and really start going in there and creating some serious content. And I mean content that's big, that's thought-provoking, that takes you a month to put together, that's got facts, figures, citations that shows you are different than everybody else. I'd be creating that kind of stuff. I'd be talking about it more consistently. I know where you work, Dingleman. You probably have an opportunity to speak at a conference. Go take it. I know you've got the opportunities where you work to go to various security events. Go to them. That's what I'd be doing. And then after the CISSP, actually, I mean, even now, I mean, I think you spoke to your manager and what was their advice on where you wanted to go, on how you needed to go there? Because I hate to see you not in that great place that you're actually already at. It's going to be one of it's in the top 10 places in all the world. So I would do that, but I would consider I don't consider necessarily a certification to be the baseline of anything. I think it's more of a marketing factor. So what I would say is to continue to polish your executive presence, because you're pretty good, but a little more will help you quite a lot. I'd say focus a little more and kind of get in there. I know you're in the security architect program. So, I would really listen to some of those heavy duty IAM things that Isaac's talking about. I mean, because, with regards to what Isaac's been doing, because Isaac's an IAM architect, not just a security architect, but he's a specialty IAM architect and in governance for those kind of things for ages. And when he gets involved into the various types of zero trust frameworks and zero trust environments, I think that's going to really, really help. And that's why, he's teaching it. He's in a bank, that's where he's at. He's designing the best of the best for the people that have the biggest, highest kind of risk. So I'd take advantage of that a little more, take advantage a little more of his zero trust, in addition to all the great security stuff that's in there. And I'd really push that. And I'd go in hard and I'd really take advantage of all that time with Isaac. And I would do that for a couple more months. I would continue to practice my presentations and think about every topic in that CISSP that you might be relevant to you. And then I would dive deep on the ones that are really there for you. So if you're going to dive deep into network security, that's going to be a place to get in there, dive deep into all those networking security elements. Or you could dive deep into IAM and really focus on that. Or you could focus on some flavor. So the key is to be a jack of all trades in security, but a master of one. And that master of that one, that's where you dive deep and dig deep. So for me, I think I took the CISSP in 2003. And I always had a big background in security, specifically physical security and strategic planning and some executive type protection, dignitary type protection. So I was very aware of security long before I even went into tech. And I have a lifetime of martial arts, which I'll focus on a lot of physical security as well. So, I had that and I said, so I knew when they started going over the physical security in the CISSP, it was like, yeah, I like this. This is the intro level, but this is a good summary of what a normal person would need to know, but not someone working in the field. And I said, okay, so we've got a little extra specialty on physical security. And then in networking, I was always at the bleeding edge of networking security back when at one point we only had access lists and basic stateful firewalls. And as that came into next generation firewalls and sandboxing and testing of code as things were coming in, and various micro segmentation things like private VLANs and QoS and traffic shaping and policing and on the network security side, to me, that was fun. And I dove deep into that for years. See, that was my thing, was network security. And I think for you, Dingleman, I'd find some form of security because you're great, but I want you a little better. And I want you to be good enough at just about everything. And I mean good enough as almost as if it was your primary job, but not your primary job, good enough. And then I want you to be great on that one thing that it is. Now, I don't know what it is for you that you want it to be. Could it be AI security? Could be. Could it be network security? Could it be IAM related security? So be great at security, Dingleman, but then find one little niche area that you probably know a lot more. And that way, for example, let's say, Dingleman, you're going to a team and you're finding yourself at a Palo Alto or a Cisco or a Checkpoint or some really elite security player, or the Wiz or something like that. So, in that case, you're walking in there as an expert in something, because they're going to have big, huge security architecture teams, and then they're going to want to have people with a various set of skills. For me, I always picked something that was absolutely obscure, that was really challenging, that almost no one was willing to learn. Not that they couldn't learn it, but they weren't willing to learn it. So I built a career. My early principal architect days were it was on IP multicast. Why? Because I realized that no one wanted to learn it. They all thought it was complicated, and it didn't terrify me. And I learned it fairly quickly, and I mastered it. And I spent years and hundreds of thousands of miles a year consulting on it because I picked one thing. And then years later, I focused on real digital transformation and getting people out of it. So, that's what I would do. I'd give it the time, but I'd find something and I'd really focus on that something. And that's the area I'd also start creating content around, so people know you and you give yourself the ability to do it, because when it's the right content, and I'm not talking Billy Bob's YouTube video out there. I just made up the name Billy Bob. I always do it as a joke, but no offense to anybody named Billy Bob, but or Sally Bob, or anybody that we're just making up names at the time. They're out there all day long pumping the same garbage that's generated from ChatGPT day in, day out, and it's half wrong, it's half that. and you go in there and you're like a laser focused superstar that's really talking about how to address real world scenarios, and you've got those skills, that's where the magic happens. So that's what I would do, Dingleman. That's what I would really recommend. If you've got some questions, please ask them. Otherwise, Chris and I are going to have a very early day today, which I'm totally okay with too, but I'm here and I would like to help. What advice would I give someone unsure about whether they're ready to take the leap into cloud architecture? So what I have to say is you have to find out what you want to be, whatever that is, but you have to figure it out. Now, I'll tell you one thing. A decision to do nothing is a decision. A decision to do nothing is a decision to do nothing. So what I would do, Adam 1, 2, 3, is I'd ask myself these questions. One is, am I happy with what I'm doing now? And if the answer is yes, that you're happy, you're completely fulfilled, and you have all that you're looking for, change nothing. Because if everything is great, don't change it. Now, if you're not happy, then the next thing I would suggest you to say is, what would I like to do? And kind of one of the things I did earlier in my career. Yes, I studied internal medicine. Yes, I had an internal medicine practice when I was a nurse practitioner in Philadelphia, which I did enjoy, but it wasn't my love. It wasn't my passion like technology was. So one day I woke up, my wife kind of steered me. She's like, follow your passion, follow your dreams. You love tech, go work on it. So I did. Now, I didn't just go pick an area of tech. I picked the one thing that fascinated me, which was networking. And I poured every ounce of effort I had. I borrowed money from my brother, actually in law, but I call him my brother because we're so close. I took an extra credit card out. I took a student loan out for one of them. And I dove in and I worked 40, 50, 60 hours a week every week until I mastered it. So, but that was me and it's what I loved. And I knew that once I committed to it, I had no choice but to finish it because I really didn't have any other opportunities. It was either invest money that I really didn't want to spend or necessarily have to spend in a career shift after already just paying, and going to college and having a master's degree. It wasn't like an easy decision to do it. But I wasn't happy. I knew what I wanted to do, and I went at it immediately, and I absolutely loved it. It was one of the best things that I've ever done in my life. So if it's cloud architecture, great. If you're not where you want to be and you desire a role where you're going to meet people and talk to people and lead teams and give presentations and help organizations solve business challenges and technical challenges by creating a team and bringing out the best in that team, it's the best job in the world. I mean, I love it. I totally love it. But the real key is what's going to make you happy. That's really where I'm at. So I kind of hope that makes sense. But if it's cloud architecture, I think you should go for it. I think it's the greatest job ever. But what if it's not? What if it's physics? What if it's medicine? Great. Go after that too. But if you're not happy, I think one of the worst things you can do is to change nothing. But when you make a change, make it a good change. Figure out what you want. Figure out who's best at what they do and learn from the best, because that'll make you closer to the best a lot faster as possible. And then that should really help you in a lot of ways. So I kind of hope this helps. You guys are quiet today. So if there's no questions, like I said, Chris and I are going to have an early day off. Otherwise, we'll do what we can to assist. Chris, bring in the next one. How big of an impact does SASE play with the enterprises? As you notice, as with SASE, you noticed and use the zero trust gateway that can only be used with SASE. If you're an SD-WAN vendor, will it all go away? So, Andrew, here's the thing. Zero trust is not a product. It's not a service. It's a framework. It's a way we choose to design our strategies where we trust nothing and we verify everything and we authenticate every request and we're intelligent about how we authenticate them. So it's not just a username and password. Is it the right user? Are they coming in, for example, at the right time of day from the right locations, from the right device, or whatever parameters we want to actually set, and we can then start using AI. So zero trust is a framework, and it doesn't mitigate the need for defense in depth either. Now, SASE is secure access, secure edge, is kind of a wide area network framework. It kind of uses some network-based zero trust, but I kind of take the zero trust out of it right now, and I would typically think of it as these little tunnels that'll build over the internet, and they're secure and encrypted and provide a WAN and some routing for you. So that is a good architectural option. It is for organizations, as are still private lines, as are still other types of tunnels as well, if and when it's appropriate. So I don't have any flavor of vendor technology that I ever pick first. And I don't always think that it has to be SD-WAN or it has to be some other things, because in every single environment, the business needs are going to change. The performance needs are going to change. And sometimes we need a really standard WAN. And sometimes we need something that's WAN optimized and internet optimized and other things. We can't get better than the performance of a private line. Everything else is to get us almost there. So, and to get us almost there at a lower cost with potentially reduced complexity, which theoretically means we don't need to hire as people that are as expensive. But when we do need to hire the people that are just as expensive? What if we're trying to build one of the fastest trading systems on Wall Street? What if we're trying to design the internet service providers, for example? Then we need the people that are going to be custom designing things. So I don't see SASE playing the biggest impact. Now, SASE could and would have continue to play a bigger and bigger impact if everybody was working from home. So what happened is we typically had our hard perimeters inside of data centers, as you're aware of, Andrew. We had our private lines between our offices, or our IPsec tunnels between our offices, our SD-WAN environment between offices. And then we had our internet connections, and we had the secure perimeters. And then all of a sudden, now we don't just have like 3,000 or 4,000 remote users. Now all of a sudden we've got 80,000 remote users to contend with, and they're coming in from all these weird parts of the world now. And not only are they coming in from weird parts of the world, they're coming on the internet. They may not be home, they may not be roaming, they may not be behind a hardware-based firewall at the organization's, at the person's house, for example. And they started to say, okay, what can we do that's simpler than just tunneling everybody back to certain VPN concentrators? And guess what? Some organizations are tunneling people back to traditional VPN concentrators because they need it, and other organizations are dealing with a SASE provider that can help them create these tunnels. So all going to be architectural options that can be used all the time. All good choices, though, but I don't really consider anything going away. I think we're going to have a lot more traditional networking coming back, especially with all the cloud repatriation that's going on right now, where people are taking some of their workloads, not all of them, but some of their workloads back from the public cloud and then building private Nutanix and OpenStack and type clouds where they get all the cloud features and functionality in their data center, but at a fraction of the cost. So, and higher performance, lower latency, more control. So with all that stuff going on, lots of opportunities for cloud architects, network architects, that kind of thing. Good question there, Andrew. I like the thoughts. Okay, well, if there are no other questions today, and it looks like everybody is being awfully quiet today, and we really try to help, I guess we will finish these comments before anybody goes. And if nobody answers questions, we'll call it a day. Otherwise, if you've got questions, let us know in the chat box. So I did want to remind everybody in the meantime that tomorrow we have a How to Become a Cloud Architect webinar. And if your goal is to become a security architect or an AI architect or any other type of an architect, we'll be happy to talk to you about those goals on that webinar tomorrow, and it is completely free. There are many free resources for you in the description of this video, things to become a cloud architect, solutions architect, security architect, what have you. Please feel free to go and sign up for them. They'll be emailed to you. And temporarily, for a very short period of time, celebrating our 4 years of getting people hired, retraining people that have already been certified and then getting them hired, and taking people like nurses and others and getting them hired. We are going to be offering 60% off of all products and services we have for a temporary short period of time. So go take advantage of them while you can. I didn't see any questions, so I think